Hello everyone, Weather Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on the weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is Tuesday evening, October 17, 2023. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video, share it, subscribe and tap the notification bell so that you'll be notified every time I post a brand new video. Feel free to leave a comment down in the comment section letting me know what the weather has been like in your area recently. Also feel free to ask any weather related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. I respond to all comments and I really live for this stuff. Alright, so let us take a look at the US National Hurricane Center's 7-day graphical tropical weather outlook. You can still see that we have that area of possible cyclone development across the main development region. It now has an 80% chance of cyclone formation within the next 7 days and a 70% chance of cyclone formation within the next 2 days. According to the Hurricane Center, it says showers and thunderstorms associated with a broad area of low pressure located a little over 1,000 miles east of the Windward Islands continue to show signs of organization. Environmental conditions are expected to remain conducive for gradual development, and a tropical depression is likely to form during the next day or two while the system moves westward to west-northwestward across the central and western tropical Atlantic. Interests in the Caribbean should monitor the progress of the system. Additional information including gale warnings can be found in high seas forecasts issued by the National Weather Service. Regardless of development, this system has the potential to bring gusty winds, heavy rainfall, and flooding to portions of the Lesser Antilles beginning Friday. And here we have the satellite images of Invest 94L. For context, we can see that we have the Leeward Islands right here, the Windward Islands, Trinidad and Tobago, northeastern South America. This is Invest 94L, and we can see that it's starting to get its act together. We can start, seeing the upper level clouds fanning out towards the east, and we can see the deep convection near its center. Taking a look at what the Euro model and the spaghetti plots from the Euro model are showing, we can see that most of them take it into the northeastern Caribbean, the Leeward Islands. So anywhere from Guadeloupe northward, Antigua and Barbuda, St. Kitts, St. Barts, maybe sections of the US and British Virgin Islands. And look at the intensity. It has some of them getting up to tropical storm status, that's the green, and even some yellows that represent hurricane status. I won't know anything after yellow. The oranges, reds, that represents getting up into the categories, maybe category 2 or 3. What does the GFS spaghetti model show? The GFS is a bit more robust. It actually makes it into a tropical storm sooner, and we already know when it comes to these systems, the stronger the system, the more it wants to turn north, and we can see that majority of these models want to turn the system to the north before it makes it into the northeastern Caribbean, even although there are some of them that make it into the northeastern Caribbean. However, majority of them are to the northeast of there, and we can see that numerous of them even make it up to maybe category 2 or 3 status. Either way, we have some contrast. We have some differences with what both the Euro and the GFS models are showing in terms of what Invest 94L will do in terms of its path and intensity. Either way, we do have consensus in the fact that this system is definitely going to make it to tropical storm status within the next 2 days, and maybe even make it into category 1 status as many of these models go up in intensity. And if we take a look at what the Euro model is showing for 12Z on Sunday, which is actually 7 AM on Sunday, we do see lots of greens across the Eastern Caribbean that represent the system, but we don't see the L, we don't see the circular concentration that would be a tropical storm or a hurricane at all, to show that this system is definitely going to be weak when it makes it into the Eastern Caribbean. However, the GFS is a bit more robust with intensity, showing a bona fide hurricane right there to the northeast of the Leeward Islands with a pressure of 974 millibars. So we do see the contrast. We do see the difference in what both the Euro and the GFS models are showing. It's going to be interesting to see exactly what unfolds with this system. Either way, there's definitely some amount of rainfall in the forecast for not only the Eastern Caribbean but even the Central and Western Caribbean in the coming days. Let us take a look at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening. we can see that we have a huge dome of high pressure right there across the northern portion of the main development region. That's responsible for sending all of these systems to the west with that easterly flow of wind. We can also see that we have that cold front still stalled out right there across the Bahamas, stretching all the way up into the northern section of the North Atlantic, even stretching across Cuba, sections of the Cayman Islands, and Honduras, sections of Central America, still getting in on some of that. And some of the easterly winds coming into the system could feed it, bringing even more rainfall, clouds and thunderstorms into the system, piling all that air up and possibly bringing some amount of rainfall to sections of Jamaica. And we can see that already happening on the visible satellite images right here. We can see the clouds associated with that cold front, and we can see those clouds coming in from the east-southeast, starting to pile into that system right there to the south of Jamaica. Some of these clouds will be making it into sections of the island, especially eastern Jamaica, later on tonight. And we can also see the clouds associated with Invest 94L right there across the main development region. We'll be talking more about the weather across the Caribbean later on. Let's focus our attention on the prediction that was made in yesterday's video about the prediction of the weather for today. So it was stated that we will have received some amount of afternoon isolated showers across sections of some northern parishes in Jamaica. And we know when we're talking about northern parishes, we're referring to those parishes like Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, St. Anne, St. Mary, Portland. And what ended up happening? At 3:46 p.m. we had a post on our Twitter page. Keep in mind that it's not only our Twitter page that we make these posts. We make it on our Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok page. So if you have one of those social media platforms, please ensure that you follow us at Weather Jamaica, so you can see for yourself that we indeed had some amount of clouds, bringing overcast skies and some isolated thunderstorms to sections of some northern parishes. So definitely sections of Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, St. Anne, St. Mary, sections of western Portland definitely got in on some of that activity. And we can see even before the sun went down that we indeed had some of that into sections of Clarendon, Manchester, sections of eastern St. Elizabeth, northern St. Andrew, northern St. Thomas definitely got in on some of that activity. And even if we take a look at the infrared satellite images that show the high cold cloud tops, the cumulonimbus and thunderstorm activity, we can see the yellows, we can see the oranges, the reds that represent thunderstorm activity, not to mention the sparkling white dots that indicate some amount of lightning flashes, if not lightning strikes. If we take a look at the Cuban Doppler radar images, we can see where we indeed have that rainfall right there to the north of the island that was across the island. And we indeed had that southerly flow across the island that brought most of that to the north. And if we take a look at the accumulated precipitation for the past 24 hours from the Caribbean Institute for Meteorology and Hydrology website, we do indeed see where we indeed had that rainfall across sections of northern Jamaica, those very spots that we just saw the clouds, sections of Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, St. Anne, St. Mary, sections of western Portland, northern northeastern St. Elizabeth, northern Manchester, even sections of Clarendon got in on some of that. Taking a look at the temperatures right now, we can say we have 27 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 27 degrees Celsius in Kingston, and by 3 a.m. on Wednesday, late tonight, we can see the temperatures dipping to both 25 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay and Kingston. As relates to the temperature forecast for tomorrow, we do see more in the way of yellows. They represent at least 1 degree Celsius above normal temperatures for 18D on Wednesday, which is actually 1 p.m. on Wednesday. And we know the average or the normal temperatures for the month of October in Jamaica is about 89 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about the equivalent of 31 degrees Celsius. So we should be receiving anywhere from 31 to 32 degrees Celsius at most for Wednesday. As relates to the dry air map, we can see that we still have a lot of moist air across the Greater Antilles, including Jamaica, as indicated by the blues. Majority of the dry air is right where we have those yellows, oranges, and reds, and we see a lot of dry air across the Gulf of Mexico, off the coast of the US, right there across the South Central Caribbean and sections of the northern main development region. However, as it relates to the Saharan dust, for 2 p.m. on Wednesday, we do see some amount of slight browns across the eastern Caribbean right there, and we do see the darker plume, the most vigorous plume of dust across the central and eastern main development region. We know the Saharan dust is quite impactful sometimes, but we won't see it that drastic, especially across the eastern Caribbean at all, considering that majority of the vigorous plume is right there across the main development region and the eastern sections right there, maybe closer to Africa. But we can see that Jamaica will be in the clear for 2 p.m. on Wednesday. Taking a look at the wave forecast for tomorrow, we do see those darker shades of blue starting to come back, especially on the south coast, and that's indicative of 1 meter wave heights or maybe up to 1.5 meter wave heights. However, we do see the lighter shades of blues across the northern portion of the island, maybe 0.5 meter wave heights, and that's due to the fact that the strongest winds are going to be on the south coast, maybe coming up to 20 knots. Coming in from the east, either way, we see darker shades of blues. We know what usually happens when we see that. We have those clouds piling up. Then we have that afternoon convection across sections of some central and western parishes. And with the upper level wind shear finally coming out of the northwest, that's definitely going to be causing more in the way of rainfall across sections of some central and western parishes, but more in the way of some southern parishes in Jamaica getting in on some of that. And tomorrow is definitely going to be a very rainy day, considering that we have all of that air piling up into the cold front. We can see it on the precipitation forecast right here, the Euro model. This is showing 1 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is actually midnight tonight. And where do we see the blues that represent rainfall? It's actually surrounding the island on the Euro model and making it onshore across sections of eastern Jamaica. The GFS showing more in the way of rainfall across eastern Jamaica for the same time, not so much surrounding the island. But we do see the consensus, definitely sections of St. Thomas and Portland, and that's where the rainfall is at. Skipping ahead to about 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 8 a.m. Jamaica time, we do see lots more rainfall surrounding the island on the Euro, but we're looking for consensus. What does the GFS show? We do see that rainfall to the north and south of the island, but we do see it onshore across eastern Jamaica on both models. St. Thomas and Portland still getting in on some more rainfall 8 a.m. Skipping ahead to about 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 12 p.m. Jamaica time, we start to see more consensus, more blues that represent rainfall across eastern, central, and western Jamaica, especially western Jamaica. Look at those darker shades of blues across sections of northwestern St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, Hanover, even sections of St. James and Trelawney getting in on some of that. And it's something similar a couple hours later, about 3 p.m. Jamaica time. Much of the same eastern, central, and western parishes, especially northern Jamaica. And we do indeed see that both the Euro and the GFS models are in consensus where the accumulated precipitation forecast is concerned. Keep in mind that these very colorful maps are showing all the rainfall that's expected from now up until 10 p.m. on Wednesday. Not saying that it's going to be falling all the way up until then, but this is the amount of rainfall that's expected during the next 24 hours. And we do see that eastern, central, and western Jamaica are shaded. Definitely going to be some amount of rainfall. And we know the more colorful these maps get, the more rainfall is expected. Southern Jamaica not so much on the GFS, but we do see that in terms of the total rainfall, up to 0.49 of an inch of rainfall, especially across sections of northern Jamaica on the Euro, and up to 0.86 of an inch of rainfall on the GFS is what is expected. And we're indeed grateful that we're going to be getting on some more rainfall for tomorrow. We're in the month of October. We usually get the most rainfall for the year in this month, so we'll take all the rainfall that we can get before we step into the dry seasons, the dry months of December through to April. Alright, so that's it for the forecast across Jamaica. Let's focus our attention on the rest of the Caribbean. So we can see where we indeed had some amount of thunderstorm activity across sections of Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua as usual, Costa Rica, Panama, Colombia, section of Venezuela, section of southern Guyana, section of Suriname, French Guiana definitely gotten on some of that, even sections of Haiti, Dominican Republic, and Puerto Rico. And if we take a look at the Doppler radar images of the northeastern Caribbean, we can indeed confirm and see that we indeed had some amount of rainfall across the islands today. Some hit or miss isolated showers, some affecting sections of central and western Puerto Rico, sections of St. Kitts and Nevis, Guadeloupe, Martinique, St. Lucia, and we know that all of this is going to be on the increase with Invest 94L closing in. That's related to the Doppler radar images from Barbados. We do see where we indeed have some amount of rainfall, more in the way of light rainfall surrounding the island of Barbados, especially to the north. But we do see that rainfall, scattered rainfall right there to the south of Barbados, heading into section of Grenada, Trinidad and Tobago, sections of St. Lucia. Definitely gotten some amount of rainfall for today as well. As relates to the wider view of Doppler radar images, we do see that rainfall across section of Honduras, section of Venezuela, just like what we saw on the satellite images. However, as it relates to the temperature forecast, we do see the below average temperature still in store, all courtesy of that cold front across sections of the southeastern United States, the Gulf of Mexico, sections of Central America, Cuba, the Bahamas, the Cayman Islands as well. And we do see that line that separates them, so definitely anywhere from Jamaica and eastern Cuba eastward, that's where we're going to be receiving the above normal temperatures. As it relates to the Saharan dust forecast, we can see that 2 p.m. on Wednesday has majority of the Saharan dust right there across sections of the eastern Caribbean, but it won't be that drastic. We won't even see it in the sky. We won't even be affected by it to trigger our allergies. We usually see the darker shades of browns. That is what we usually see causing the hazy weather and triggering people's asthma or sinusitis. As related to the wave forecast, we do see that majority of the Caribbean should be getting 1 meter wave heights or 1.5 meter wave heights, and even some isolated pockets of 0.5 for meter wave heights. And that's due to the fact that the winds are not going to be that strong, averaging up to 20 knots at most. And we can see where we have that cold front, where we have those yellows, that's where we're going to be having the strongest winds. That's where we're going to be having winds coming in from the northeast to the north of Honduras right there, averaging 25 knots. And where we have Invest 94L right there, the yellows representing 25 knots or more. We see that on both the Euro and the GFS malls. And when it comes to the rainfall forecast, we do see that we indeed have a lot of rainfall in store for sections of the Bahamas, eastern Cuba, sections of the Cayman Islands, Jamaica, Honduras especially. Look at those, up to even 10 inches of rainfall expected. Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Panama, Colombia, sections of Venezuela getting some isolated rainfall. Guyana, Suriname and French Guiana is supposed to be getting some amount of rainfall as well. And we can see some isolated pockets of rainfall across sections of Haiti, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, majority of the Leeward Islands, and even sections of the Windward Islands, the sections of St. Vincent, Grenada, Trinidad and Tobago to be getting in on some rainfall. I know that when both the Euro and the GFS malls are showing something similar like this for the next 24 hours all the way up until 10 p.m. on Wednesday, the chances of it actually happening are much higher. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.